What I'm saying is greatness isn't easy to achieve. It requires a lot of time, a lot of sacrifices. It requires a lot of tough decisions. It requires your loved ones to sacrifice too. So you have to have an understanding circle of family and friends. People don't always understand just how much effort from how many people goes into one person chasing a dream to be great. There's a fine balance between obsessing about your craft and being there for your family. It's akin to walking a tightrope. Your legs are shaky and you're trying to find your center. Whenever you lean too far in one direction, you correct your course and end up over leaning in the other direction. So you correct by leaning the other way again. That's the dance. You can't achieve greatness by walking a straight line. Respect to those who do achieve greatness and respect to those who are chasing that elusive feeling. Mama mentality. This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because this is something that has brought me a lot of pain, a lot of life lessons, and is one that I'm definitely not alone in. In fact, I think the majority of breakups for people who are in that process of elevating in life are often because of a dynamic that's less than ideal and unconducive to meeting long-term goals. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the guys that stay in their situations do so because of comfort, and it really is like neutering them and hacking off a limb or two. And I see a lot of these guys, and they have this very nebulous feeling of just acceptance, just this acceptance that their life is not going to be better, and then this is the best that they can do. And it's kind of crazy to me because it's like they're this is a huge generalization, but they're just kind of taking a back seat, and it's almost like they've they don't feel like they come from a place of choice, and they're just accepting the situation that's at hand. And oftentimes it's someone else that's calling the shots, whether they feel helpless at work or because the partner that they're with demands so much of them and is not understanding what it takes for them to be the person that they want to be, doing the things that they want to do, and leading the life that they want to lead. And it doesn't come from a bad place. It probably just comes from differing futures or ideals in terms of life that they want to lead. So I really do think that having such a clear sense of purpose and the conviction and courage to go after them, and knowing what the costs are or being comfortable making those sacrifices, will save one, not only a lot of time and heartache, but two, be able to lead their life so much more clearly, including those that are either on board or people or we're weeding out people that are not going to be on board. And that's totally fine. And I don't mean weeding out in like a cold hearted way. It just is what it is. And I think I really do think that like observing a lot of the wealthy people that have been around me, people who had crazy meteoric success monetarily, I'd have to say the majority of them feel empty and lost because they hit the goal, financial goal, and once they hit it, they don't really know what's next. The only thing they really can think of is just keep pushing the goalposts back. But if you never fell in love with the game that you played it in the first place, and it was just the ends to the means, then it'd be understandable that you would just coast in life and just feel lost. Life might be good, but it's still empty. That's probably why you hear this phrase, the saying, money doesn't buy happiness, right? You see people who are still feeling like they're missing something, this like hunger, this drive, this like clarity. And it's something that I think we all can create for ourselves. The hard part about having the money and finding a purpose is by nature of aligning yourself with a greater purpose, you have to struggle. That's part of the process. And for most people that have struggled so hard to become wealthy and financially independent, there is no incentive to really struggle. The whole purpose was to live a comfortable life. But then things get boring after a while. So there's a lot of resistance to then take on something grandiose and challenging unless you have that value system of wanting to seek purpose and contribute in meaningful ways, which is basically what fulfillment is. Fulfillment is the thing that we are most proud of in ourselves when we look back on life is how we've grown in meaningful ways and contributed meaningfully to the world around us. If we've done everything in our life for our own selfish endeavors, which is totally okay and understandable, we get to live our life any way that we want. Once those needs are met, then we feel lost. And then we really don't know what to do. And the only logical thing to do in that line of thinking is to just go down a path of hedonism, which also gets boring. And it's endless. So I really do think it's just become clearer and clearer to seek a life of purpose and playing the long game, the infinite game, as Simon Sinek said, because this is something that we have done with our time anyways, regardless of whether we had money or not. And that's how we would have wanted to live, because it's probably the most meaningful and enjoyable thing to do. And two, I think the rewards are so great once you pick the right game, and you become so unique and special and valuable that the stakes just become increasingly higher and higher and higher. And you're able to do things at higher and higher levels with even more amazing people around you at an impact with a magnitude greater than you probably could have ever imagined. Even just before watching this, I saw the knees over toes guy, and now he's getting interviewed left and right by all these up and coming like big YouTubers or established YouTubers, and his name is just going like just spreading out like wildfire. It's insane. I did his exercise today, and I don't know if he's ever imagined like, multi-million YouTube sub channels and people just basically providing a schedule for him to go do interviews with them or vlogs with them. And he's just one person. And he's solving a pain point and a problem that was something that he had to deal with his whole life that caused him a lot of pain. And now he gets to help prevent that pain for so many people and help people who deal with the same pain resolve them and be able to move on from them for good and be able to enjoy life pain-free and be able to thrive in the sports that they play and just have a more enjoyable, higher quality life. I think Kobe Bryant is somebody who I wasn't like the biggest fan of, watching in terms of his playing style, but huge amounts of respect, especially just understanding the way that he not only approaches his craft of basketball, but how he approached life altogether. Even before he had retired, he had already been contemplating what his part two in life would be. And that was making an impact on the youth and on the world through media, through stories, through cartoons. And he won, I believe, an Oscar for a piece of work that he did before he passed, it just blows my mind how like he was able to achieve such great things in completely different realms of life just by having this mentality of just valuing growth and fulfillment. He could have taken a lot of coaching jobs, he could have been an anchor, but he said what was the most meaningful thing to him was to be able to shape the future youth and prepare them to be able to handle the challenges of life. And through things like sports, by bestowing upon them the lessons that he learned from basketball into his work. And he felt like if basketball was the greatest thing that he ever did, then his life would, he didn't say the word meaningless, but his life wouldn't be as meaningful as what he knows he could have done after the fact. And I think he definitely passed way too soon as a result of that. So tying this all back, I think we all kind of want to be our own version of Kobe Bryant in our own way, whether you like him or not. Or maybe that's a different hero of yours. But somebody who's embodied and is an exemplar of a person that has quote unquote self-actualized or achieved their potential and has cultivated their gifts and shared them to the highest level and has continued to evolve even beyond that initial identity and adopted a whole nother one because life is long. I think what it really takes is not only the mentality, but also, like he said, you need to have some understanding people around you, people who are on board, people who get what you're about, and people who support it completely, even if they might not want to do the same thing themselves. That supporting cast, and our partner is a big part of that picture, unless you're cool being solo, but life does get a little lonely. So being able to make sure that you not only find that person if that's where you are in life, but then also being able to set the expectations and to be able to, make sure that that person knows what they're in for and is on board on their own volition. And needing to make the tough decisions if they're not. Their heart can be in the right place. That's the hard part. I found that people can love you entirely. However, their actions can be counter to your life goals. And if they continue to take away, then you got to let the facts determine your decisions and less so the emotions. And I think the sooner that you can cut those types of situations clean, the sooner you can rebound and be happy and be on your path again, undistracted, and also allow for the space for someone else to fill in that can play that role that you need to be able to have it all. And that person can be entirely proud of you because they value the same things as you. I've said this probably many times already, but Hermosi has a great example of the types of relationships that exist in a romantic partnership. And the first is a cheerleader, and the other one is a fullback. The cheerleader is the one that supports you on the sideline. The fullback is the one that supports you on the field and is in the game with you. And he said something that was incredible. He said, most people adopt beliefs and don't even know where they come from. Many people come to the idea that in a relationship, they have to compromise. He says, in my relationship, I don't have to compromise. We do what we want to do, and we both agree on it because we're both on the same page. If I'm busy and I have to take a couple days to go write a video sales letter, there's no discussion. There's no back and forth. There's no discussion. There's no 30-minute back and forth. There's no hour-long explanation. It's just, I got to go do this thing. Great, cool. I'll see you in a couple days, or I'll see you when you're done. Boom. And he said, after having that type of relationship with his partner, he could never go back to the cheerleader relationship, which he says most of the time is not even a true cheerleader relationship, because a true cheerleader wouldn't take their man out of the game or their person out of the game when the game is on the line. Yet he said that's what happens most of the time. And going through my own, fair share of relationships, I've noticed that to be true. Unless it's like super early on in the relationship where the other person doesn't feel like it's in their place to really demand much of you. But of course, as time goes, expectations change, they increase, and so do people's capacity to be more demanding and direct, right? And it's on us to have those micro corrections and checks. It's on us to be able to check the other person if what they're doing is not cool with us, right? If it's not in line with what's truly important, and we can't allow for that type of behavior. Once again, not saying that it's coming off from a bad place. They probably just coming from a place of love. Maybe they are mistreating you and you have to shut that shit down. A lot of times what makes it hard is they want to spend more time with you because they love you. They want to have more quality time because they miss you. All these things were hard to shoot down in the moment unless you are just like such a complete T style thinker versus F, Myers-Briggs, for anybody that's wondering. Check it out. And at least for me, that was something that was hard to balance. And just going through enough pain, and I wouldn't say necessarily regret, but going through enough of that and realizing that a year or two has burned by because of my inability to really make those hard decisions and cut things off clean, or do those micro checks to prevent something from terms becoming even worse than they needed to be and deteriorating to a point where I was just taking on more baggage and responsibility for another person than I needed to the point where I felt like I was saving them. Right? And that probably deserves its own discussion. I realized that all of that was coming at the cost of myself and who I wanted to be, and this ultimate exploration that was required for this purpose. And I think we all need to find that. We all need to do that. Perhaps there are people out there that are cool having like some sort of balance in life where they clock in, clock out, get the security, go spend their time the way that they want to with the people that they love, and that balance, that security is all they need, and they're able to milk that for as long as they need to, and it's an easy way to partition their time. I would argue that like that's cool, and if you got that, great, and you're happy with it, awesome. I would say hopefully nothing happens that compromises that because you're relying on so many people around you. And also I do think that it requires some level of acceptance. I wouldn't say you've given up, but like it almost feels like you're cool,
capping the level of achievement or the things that you're doing, and you're fine with it. Like, there isn't a lot of breathing room to go above and beyond. Or maybe your family is your ultimate purpose, and you're at that stage of your life, and that's chill. Like, you're not in that building phase anymore. That's also that's also fun. I'm not there yet, so I can't really relate with that. I could see how like people would want to prioritize those things above everything else. And you know what? Maybe that's a big reason why there's a lot of successful people who are choosing not to have kids. You know, like a Tom Billy or something like that, because they feel like the amount of responsibility or care or attention they would want to put into an endeavor like having kids would be so much that it would take away from what they're trying to do right now, which is basically change the world by creating the next Disney. To each of their own. Fortunately, he's been able to realize his own truths, find someone who's on board with him. They're doing it together, and I think he's happy with that. Anyways, hope you found this useful. Until next time, peace.